Welcome to the Alternatives Public Workshop for the Southwest 10th Street Connector Project Development and Environment, or PD&E study, and the I-95 from Southwest 10th Street to Hillsborough Boulevard PD&E study. These projects are being conducted by the Florida Department of Transportation under financial management numbers 439-891-1-22-02 and 436-964-1-22-01. Today we will discuss the Southwest 10th Street Connector PD&E study from the Turnpike Sawgrass Expressway to I-95 and the I-95 from Southwest 10th Street to Hillsborough Boulevard PD&E study. While the Southwest 10th Street and I-95 projects are being evaluated as separate studies, they will be presented as one regional project encompassing the entire Southwest 10th Street corridor with connections to the Turnpike and I-95. The Broward Metropolitan Planning Organization, or MPO, formed a Community Oversight Advisory Team, or COAT, that was tasked to obtain consensus on a vision for the corridor. 18 recommendations and 15 sub-recommendations were presented to the Broward MPO in 2016. Recommendations such as safety, improved operations, and environmental considerations have already been incorporated into the project's purpose and need statement, and all recommendations are being considered during the study. You will see gold key icons throughout this presentation. The gold key symbol represents key COAT recommendations. The overall transportation project development process is shown here. We are in the PD&E phase shown in the lighter blue color. In the PD&E phase, engineering design alternatives will be developed. Community outreach and agency coordination are occurring along with evaluations of environmental and community impacts. At the end of the PD&E process, the FDOT will establish a preferred alternative. A project development and environment study is the step after a planning study, but before a project enters into the design phase. A PD&E study must follow the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA, requirements. During the PD&E study, all social, environmental, and engineering analyses are performed and documented regarding the proposed transportation improvements. These analyses will support decisions regarding basic design concepts and identify a preferred alternative. Since a PD&E study is not a final design project, some elements are developed to a conceptual level of detail and must be further coordinated later in the design process. Public outreach is a very important component of a PD&E study and also supports the project recommendations. The PD&E process is further broken down in this graphic. We're currently at steps 3 and 4, conducting the engineering and environmental analyses and conducting the alternatives public workshop. During the engineering analyses, alternatives are developed to meet the purpose and need of the project while incorporating the COAT's recommendations to the greatest extent possible. Potential impacts to the corridor's social, natural, and physical environments are being studied and documented. A continuous community outreach process is integrated into every step of the process to ensure that corridor residents, businesses, the traveling public, and other interested parties have opportunities for participation and meaningful input throughout the PD&E study. Every PD&E project starts with a purpose and need statement. The purpose and need for the Southwest 10th Street Connector is comprehensive and includes many of the COAT's key considerations. Providing a limited access or freeway-type connector facility along the corridor between the Sawgrass Expressway and I-95 will improve system connectivity between Strategic Intermodal System, or SIS, facilities. I-95, Florida's Turnpike, and Southwest 10th Street are all SIS facilities. SIS facilities are those that are critical to statewide mobility and economic development. Local transportation needs for Southwest 10th Street will be addressed, including the application of complete streets concepts and pedestrian and bicycle facilities. Safety and operational issues will be addressed along the corridor that will enhance emergency response and evacuation times. I-95, Southwest 10th Street, and Florida's Turnpike are all designated evacuation routes. This project will also enhance social demand and encourage intermodal relationships and economic development for the area. The Southwest 10th Street corridor represents a gap in the existing and future regional managed lanes network. This corridor is an important SIS link between the Turnpike and I-95. The Turnpike and I-95 are the backbones to the north-south movement for people and goods throughout the state of Florida. Implementation of a managed lanes connector roadway, along with an improved local roadway along Southwest 10th Street, addresses other key COAT recommendations and will complete the regional network and promote mobility and economic vitality of the area. The I-95 from Southwest 10th Street to Hillsborough Boulevard PD&E study also has a purpose and need. Similar to the Southwest 10th Street Connector PD&E study, this study will also examine safety and operational issues as well as emergency response times. The I-95 improvements will help alleviate the transportation demand along the I-95 corridor and improve overall system connectivity. Both the Southwest 10th Street and I-95 corridors experience significantly high crash rates related to traffic congestion and traffic backups, especially in the morning and evening rush hours. In 2016, the highest daily volume along the corridor between the Turnpike and I-95 was 54,500 vehicles. The AM peak hour is in the eastbound direction, and the PM peak hour is in the westbound direction, as illustrated here. Long delays occur along the corridor, especially at Powerline Road, Military Trail, and the I-95 northbound off-ramps. By the year 2040, the corridor is expected to handle an additional 7,400 daily trips. With the additional vehicles traveling through the corridor during the peak hours, delay and congestion will increase at all intersections. Without any improvements, Southwest 10th Street will not be able to accommodate the additional traffic. When the I-95 at Southwest 10th Street interchange improvements are constructed and the Turnpike at Sawgrass interchange improvements are constructed, more traffic will want to use the corridor. While improvements at I-95 will improve conditions on Southwest 10th Street near the interchange, Southwest 10th Street between the Turnpike and I-95 will not be able to accommodate the additional traffic unless additional improvements are provided on Southwest 10th Street. Without improvements along Southwest 10th Street, all intersections are expected to have long delays and queues, most notably in the AM peak hour as indicated by the blue segments in the top right panel of the slide, which will have a volume that is 2 times higher than the capacity of the roadway. With proposed roadway upgrades in place, estimated traffic operational conditions in the AM and PM peak hours are improved. Although some delay is still expected, conditions are better than existing conditions and significantly improved from the 2040 no-build condition. Since some of the traffic is now accommodated in the managed lanes, it is removed from the local lanes. Coupled with planned intersection improvements, the overall total signalized intersection delay in the local lanes is estimated to be approximately 650 seconds less than the no-build alternative, or almost 11 minutes less delay. In terms of traffic congestion, the 2040 build alternative provides significantly better traffic operation than the no-build alternative. By removing through traffic from local Southwest 10th Street and offering motorists a managed lane choice, east and west travel times are reduced. A significant improvement is the 40% reduction in the intersection delay, as 30% of all traffic will be in the managed lanes, and in anticipation of additional South Florida growth, 30,000 more vehicle trips can be accommodated with the build alternative. Let's look at the build alternatives considered for the Southwest 10th Street connector. All design alternatives have been developed and refined throughout the study process to meet the project's purpose and need and avoid or minimize impacts to the community and natural and physical environments while incorporating as many code recommendations as possible. The alternatives are being compared to each other in an evaluation matrix using common criteria such as community and environmental impacts, traffic operations, and others to determine which alternative has the least impacts overall while providing the most long-term benefits for the communities. As part of any PD&E study, a no-build alternative is always carried forward and included in the matrix. The matrix can be found in the display room across the hallway. 2 facilities are planned for the Southwest 10th Street corridor. One is a managed lane facility to provide a connection between the Turnpike, Sawgrass Expressway, and I-95. Concepts have been evaluated with different entrance and exit ramp locations between Powerline Road and Military Trail for access to and from the managed lanes and local Southwest 10th Street. The limits of the below-grade section continues to be evaluated for the managed lane facility. The other facility is a local, lower-speed roadway to serve businesses and communities within the corridor. Bicycle lanes, sidewalks, and other community elements have also been included. One concept includes a center managed lane alignment with a local Southwest 10th Street located on each side and operating as a frontage road system. This concept is being evaluated with a below grade, also referred to as a depressed section, that addresses a Keat Coat recommendation. The other concept under development is a northern managed lane alignment. This concept locates the local Southwest 10th Street roadway on the south side of the managed lanes. This alternative is also being evaluated with the below-grade or depressed section. You are encouraged to visit the display room where additional renderings and plots show both alternatives in their entirety. Project staff are available in the display hall to explain the concepts to you and answer your questions. A depressed section requires excavation to a depth of 40 feet and a width of approximately 100 feet. Both above ground and buried utilities within the corridor will need to be relocated. Due to the amount of excavation and dewatering required, the cells will need to be built in 100 by 100 foot sections. Cranes will drive sheet piling deep into the ground to isolate the cells, which will then be excavated, the cells secured with ground anchors, poured with concrete, and then dewatered with pumps. The concrete floor will be almost 10 feet thick and support cast-in-place retaining walls. The construction of each cell is expected to take approximately 2 months. The length of the entire proposed depressed section is approximately 1 mile, or 5,280 feet, requiring over 50 cells. Exhibit boards in the display room further illustrate this multi-phase concept, along with the construction of a depressed section beneath Powerline Road, which is uniquely challenging. The below-grade or depressed section has distinct advantages and disadvantages as listed here. There are, however, other alternatives that may be explored but have not yet been evaluated. Please refer to the detailed exhibits in the display room for more information. The proposed managed lanes along Southwest 10th Street will tie into new express lanes along I-95. Flyover ramps will provide direct connections from the managed lanes on Southwest 10th Street to the express lanes located within the median of I-95. Let's take a closer look at the concepts and the I-95 interchange, as well as the proposed improvements along I-95 itself. As with the Southwest 10th Street connector, the tie into I-95 examines a north alignment alternative and a center alignment alternative. These alternatives feature third and fourth level flyovers at the interchange, as well as an overpass at Military Trail. The north alignment alternative, shown here in the top panel, features elevated managed lanes above a reconstructed Southwest 10th Street. In the bottom panel, the managed lanes have been left off the graphic to highlight the local Southwest 10th Street proposed turn lane and intersection improvements. These local improvements include a relocation of Southwest 12th Avenue and a roundabout at the junction of East Newport Center Drive and West Newport Center Drive. The center alignment alternative, shown here in the top panel, features elevated managed lanes in the center of the right-of-way with the local Southwest 10th Street lanes on either side of the elevated lanes. Third and fourth level flyovers, as well as the overpass above Military Trail, are the same for both alignments. In the bottom panel, the managed lanes have been left off the graphic to highlight the local Southwest 10th Street proposed turn lane and intersection improvements. Because the eastbound and westbound local lanes are separated by an elevated section, the left turn lanes must traverse a wide median beneath the elevated managed lanes as seen in the bottom panel. Additional details can be viewed in the display hall. The north alignment and center alignment alternatives both feature a continuously elevated section carrying the managed lanes over Military Trail and an elevated ramp conveying eastbound traffic exiting to local Southwest 10th Street. Shown here is the north alignment alternative. In addition to the interchange improvements at Southwest 10th Street, Mainline I-95 is being widened to accommodate 2 express lanes in each direction. The improvements extend from just south of Northeast 48th Street to the existing interchange at Hillsborough Boulevard, where entrance and exit ramp improvements are proposed. For detailed information, please visit the display room where you can talk with the project team. For both the Southwest 10th Street connector and I-95 improvements, each build alternative is evaluating the natural, physical, cultural, and social environments with the goal to avoid or minimize impacts to these resources. No wetland impacts and only minor impacts to surface waters are anticipated. No adverse effects to endangered or threatened species are anticipated. A bald eagle nest is located in Quiet Waters Park, although no adverse effects are anticipated. Results of the environmental analyses for each project will be documented in the natural resource evaluation prepared for each project. A sociocultural effect evaluation is ongoing, and a cultural resource assessment survey will be prepared to evaluate the effects to historic and archaeological resources. Preliminary evaluation indicates no adverse effects are anticipated. There are several resources protected under Section 4F of the U.S. Department of Transportation Act. No permanent impacts to these parks are anticipated, but temporary impacts may be possible. Coordination will occur with Deerfield Beach and Broward County regarding the park resources. A contamination screening evaluation is in process for both the Southwest 10th Street and I-95 projects. 17 sites have been identified in the existing databases and field reviews. No high-risk sites and 3 medium-risk sites have been identified. A contamination screening report is being prepared to document any potential effect on contaminated sites. An air quality screening will also be completed for both projects. Noise is a key concern for the communities surrounding the corridor. Along Southwest 10th Street, there are 7 residential communities, 3 recreational sites, and 1 commercial site that are considered noise-sensitive areas. In addition, the I-95 corridor has 10 non-residential noise-sensitive sites. Noise levels have been measured at various locations along both corridors, and an analysis is being performed for each of the concepts. Each alternative is being evaluated to determine if, where, and what type of noise barrier would be the most appropriate for impacted areas. Noise walls, if required, will be closely coordinated with affected stakeholders. The results of the noise studies are anticipated to be available in the fall of 2018. Water supply wells for the city of Deerfield Beach are located along the south side of Southwest 10th Street and the east side of Military Trail. In order to assess the impacts of a proposed depressed section on the Wellfields, groundwater modeling is scheduled to be performed this summer. As you can see from this graphic, the Wellfield protection zones extend into the project areas and are a very important consideration in the evaluation of a depressed section. The FDOT has planned and funded 2 future landscape projects to address landscape and aesthetic elements along the corridor for installation immediately after construction of the roadway improvements. As the PD&E alternatives are developed, landscape design concepts will be developed and coordinated. The schedules for both the Southwest 10th Street and I-95 studies have been closely aligned. Today, FDOT is hosting the Alternatives Public Workshop. After today's workshop, FDOT will evaluate the public comments received, continue meeting with stakeholders, and refine the build alternatives. The public hearing, where the FDOT will recommend a preferred alternative to move forward to the design phase, is tentatively scheduled for early 2019. Each of these meetings represents additional opportunities for you to offer your feedback. Location and Design Concept Acceptance, or LDCA, signifies the end of the PD&E phase and is scheduled for May of 2019. As we move forward, alternatives will continue to be developed and refined, and environmental evaluations will be conducted. Public outreach is continuous throughout the study, and interested groups are encouraged to contact the project team, who will be available for group meetings. The team looks forward to meaningful stakeholder engagement during the PD&E process and welcomes all input. The workshop today represents an additional opportunity for you to provide your input and feedback to the team on the engineering concepts being developed. The public hearing is another meeting where you can provide your comments. This project is currently scheduled to begin the final design phase in mid-2019. Currently, construction funding is in 2025, but FDOT is working hard to advance funding to get this important connector constructed in order to complete the regional roadway network. Please tell us what you think by taking the survey, writing a comment card, or both. Your opinion is important. The project website shown here is another method to submit your comments, get project information, or contact the project team. Please visit the display rooms across the hall where you can talk with project staff and examine the concepts up close. This concludes our presentation, and we thank you for attending this Alternatives Public Workshop.